What's up, guys? This is Justin with IGN. I'm here with Jonathan Blow.
Hello there.
And we're taking a look at the Swapper. And I guess you said this game has kind of an interesting opening. So
yeah, let's run the cinematic, which I think is really beautiful. I mean, the whole game is very atmospheric.
Right. And we will take a look.
Yes. We're setting the scene. So anyway, as you can see, at the start of this game, you've been ejected from a space station and you're crash landing on the planet. And the aesthetic of the game is that everything's built out of little clay miniatures and other objects. Like if you notice, the escape pod is a little tin can.
Exactly, it looks like a Campbell's soup can.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so it almost pains me to be talking over it now because the game's so atmospheric, but we got to get through.
You're demoing this because it is an indie fund game, and who's the developer of this?
Yeah, so the developer is called Facepalm. It's a couple of guys living in Finland, plus two people full-time, and then a couple of contractors.
Got it.
And so in this game, you play a little person in a spacesuit, and you've been marooned on this planet, and that's all you know. Right. So you spend the start of the game trying to figure out, and here's a pretty simple beginning tutorial about how to manipulate the various objects.
Sure. And so this is we're playing on a PC right now. Is there, are you targeting a release on PC or other platforms?
So this game is coming out very soon. It's coming out in about 8 days.
Oh, wow, that is very soon.
Yeah, on Steam.
Great.
That's the initial release. I don't know what the platform plans are elsewhere, but
sure. But if you are a PC gamer, you'll be able to get your hands on this soon. And so we're seeing sort of,
this is sort of a first puzzle. This game is very Metroidy in the sense that it'll show you things that you can't do yet, and you need to come back later. So right now there's a platform up there, but I just can't even get there. Right. And I don't even know how I would get there.
And we're also learning about some, sort of storytelling, environmental storytelling. You're hearing some voiceover, and I'm presuming, it'll be hard to get a feel for it in a couple minutes right now, but, you're going to learn more about this world as you...
Yeah, there's some really nice voiceover in the game. So now I've gotten this device, and it gives me this ability to use the right mouse button.
Oh, geez. Look at that.
And when I do that, I create other dudes, and these other dudes do the same thing as me. So I'm like remote controlling them.
Okay, and is that sort of the game's, I hate to reduce a game to like a single sort of gimmick or
yeah, it's the central device of the game.
Sure.
So now I can create a guy up there, and he'll hold down the switch.
He's just hanging out up there now.
Yeah, well...
And they go away. They're deleted after each room then?
Yeah, and a big part of this game is how guys get incidentally abused. So, like, that's not fortunate.
Sure.
But, here, so you kind of go into bullet time to give you time to place guys.
Right. Okay. So it's sort of teaching you about some of the different basic ways you can...
Yeah. So now it's sort of showing you to pay attention to this thing down in the corner, which tells me how many clones I have left. So I can make 4 to open all of these doors.
I really like, and we talked about this a moment ago, games that sort of teach you by doing rather than necessarily holding your hand. There doesn't need to be a big thing that pops up on the screen that says, you have 4, clones that you can make. Instead, they just sort of force you to learn it.
Absolutely. It's very minimal with a light touch, So, here's the map, which grows and becomes quite more complex as I play.
And do you get... these ability, I guess I don't want to call them clones, but, do you get more of these clones as the game goes on, or do you get different abilities?
It's not about getting more. It's about, you get one additional ability, which I'll have time to show us because it's right over here.
Gotcha.
So here's a thing So I can make a clone, but I can't. Like if I try to, the clone basically can't go through the door, and he can't pick up collectibles.
Okay.
So there's no way for me to get across there to the teleporter yet.
Right.
And so what completes the ability is this object over here that I will dig up, which lets me left button to swap my mind between clones.
Oh,
right?
gotcha.
So right now my main guy is this guy down here, so he's the guy with the flashlight and stuff, but I can switch.
There's all kinds of
guy.
little touches here too. Like the person that you control is the only one that sort of has this beam of light there, so you can see at a glance, what's what and who's who.
Yes. So
the other ones are kind of dimmed.
Right. So now I can swap back and forth across this gap, and as I go through this hole, my old clone gets killed.
Yeah. Sorry,
which is very sad.
But it wasn't even that was you a moment ago.
Yeah. So then here's the first of the more interesting puzzles: is that I can't create clones inside blue light. Right. So the game starts to be about this, about dealing with the environment rather than giving you more and more powers.
Sure.
It's learning how to use your powers in a smart way. So here I can't make a clone up there. I can only make them down here.
Right.
And you're like, well, how does that help me? But one thing I could do is I could go stand on this switch, make a clone over here. So the switch turned off that blue light that was on the platform.
Then you can switch back.
And now I can get through.
And so does this remain kind of a, non-combat, mostly sort of peaceful, environmental, puzzly game? Or
Yeah, it's this mood that it has, this desolate mood of you're alone and you're trying to figure out what's going on, carries through the whole game. Although it gets more intense, because there is a plot that develops. There's a couple of characters.
Like proper voice acting and those sorts of characters?
There is, yeah. We actually talked over a little bit of it a second ago. But,
yeah, I guess we did.
So these at the beginning here are pretty simple puzzles.
Right.
And they get more intense as
story details there. That.
Anyway, I think pretty soon I get to.
The ship I came here in is fried. I have a rescue team on the way. They'll be here in a day's time. Why not? There must be something we can.
So right now we're in sort of a cave environment, for lack of a better term. Does this sort of change and evolve as the experience goes on, or does it remain this aesthetic sort of remain throughout?
So right here is the teleporter that gets me off this planet.
Okay.
And I'll probably do one last puzzle, because this shows you.
I won't do it.
The bulk of the game is about getting these security orbs, which let you activate machinery. Right?
Okay.
So this one, I hope I remember. Okay.
So
I can't switch control to this guy because of the red light.
Right. So we're learning what the different
I can make
lights.
him up there.
Got it.
And I can get him to stand on that. So now I could get a clone up to the orb, but then if I try to walk there, but I can make another clone.
Sure.
Teleport or switch my mind to him, make one up there, switch my mind to him, and then I get the orb.
Got it.
Right. So now that I've done that, I can go activate this teleporter and get out. And that just sort of shows you the core loop of what the game's about, and it just keeps building and building on that and increasing in intensity.
This looks super cool. This was the Swapper?
The Swapper. Yeah, by
Facepalm
Games. Yeah.
Space station.
So now we're in the station, and the station has a lot of... you can sort of see all this unexplored map area. As you go around there, you enter different environments that all feel really interesting.
This looks super cool. I mean, this looks like the kind of game, Super Metroid is my favorite game of all time. It seems to be many indie developers' favorite game of all time. I'm glad to see sort of non-linear exploration, non-combat. Well, Metroid was full of combat, but, mostly like really relying on atmosphere and puzzle solving. This looks great. So, I think we already covered all this, but just to sort of recap, this is coming out on Steam very soon.
Very soon, next week.
Cool.
Yeah, and then we'll see what other platforms after that.
Awesome. Well, Jonathan, thank you for showing us a look at the Swapper. Everybody that's watching this, remember that we're always kind of trying to surface the coolest, most interesting indie games, and everything that's happening in the world of video games. So, make sure that you're keeping it locked to IGN.com.
Right on.